A Jerusalem Perspective production. Fish and the Sea of Galilee by Mendel Noon, read by Joshua Tilton. The Sea of Galilee was the scene of most of Jesus' ministry. Fishermen and sailors were his earliest followers, and it was to them that he first preached, standing on the shore of the lake. As his audience grew, he began to preach from fishing boats. For longer trips, Jesus sailed in the boats of fishermen to teach in the towns and villages of the region. Because of its significance in the life of Jesus, the New Testament contains vignettes, parables, and descriptions of the fisherman's life. But even so, we cannot expect to find detailed professional accounts. Little is said about fishing in the Hebrew Scriptures. Although the main implements of the fisherman's craft are named, we find no reference to any particular fisherman, nor to any event directly concerned with fishing. What is said is in the form of parables and allegories, yet it appears that most of the prophets were familiar with the fisherman's occupation. Names of the lake. The Sea of Galilee is actually a freshwater lake whose surface is only 170 square kilometers. The use of the Greek thalassa, sea, in the Gospels seems to be influenced by Hebrew or Aramaic. In these languages, yam can mean either sea or lake. The lake is mentioned in both the Hebrew Scriptures and the New Testament. The former refers to it 4 times by its oldest biblical name, Yam Kinneret, Lake of Kinneret, in connection with the borders of the Promised Land and the allotment of the 12 tribes. The name Sea of Galilee appears for the first time in the New Testament, which also gives 2 other names, Sea or Lake of Gennesar or Gennesaret, and Sea of Tiberias. The lake is mentioned many times and provides the background for daily life. Fish population. Fishing methods on the lake did not change from the time of the Second Temple until the 1950s and 1960s, when the techniques used on the lake were revolutionized. Then fishermen began to use motorized fiberglass boats and electric fish detectors, and cotton thread was replaced by transparent nylon lines invisible to the fish, making possible daytime fishing. Enormous innovations thus changed the face of the Sea of Galilee. The fish population changed as well. Indigenous species declined, and new species were introduced. The indigenous fish population consists of 18 species, 10 of which are commercially important, and most of which are endemic to the lake or to the Jordan water system. According to tradition, the edible fish of the Sea of Galilee are divided into 3 main groups: 1. Mushed, 2. Biny, and 3. Sardines. Mushed means comb in Arabic, and the 5 species of this group are so named because they have a long dorsal fin that looks like a comb. The biggest, the most common, and the most important of these species is Tilapia galilea, the so-called St. Peter's fish, which can reach a length of 40 centimeters and may weigh 1.5 kilograms. Its flat shape makes it suitable for frying, and its easily detachable backbone and relatively few small bones make it easy to eat. With the cooling of the waters as winter starts, the mushed congregate and move in schools, especially toward the northern part of the lake. The mushed is the only large fish in the lake which moves in schools. The biny is part of the carp family. Its name comes from a Semitic word for hair, which refers to the characteristic barbs at the corners of the fish's mouth. 2 particular species of biny have always had an important place in the land of Israel because they are well-fleshed and popular as a dish for the Sabbath and feasts. The Talmud describes how Tiberias fishermen brought 7 of these fish as a gift to the compiler of the Mishnah, the patriarch Yehuda Hanasi during his stay in the city. The Sea of Galilee sardine is the smallest of the commercial fish, yet it has great economic importance because of its extensive distribution. It resembles the saltwater sardine, and like it, can be found in enormous schools. At the height of the fishing season, tens of tons of sardines are caught every night. That is why already in antiquity they were conserved by pickling. Sardines were an important part of the daily diet throughout the country, especially for those who lived near the lake. The center of the sardine pickling industry was the town of Magdala, the home of Mary Magdalene, on the western shore of the lake. Fisherman's Suburb. Tabga is located 2 kilometers southwest of Capernaum, along the shores of the Sea of Galilee. The name is a corruption of the Greek heptaperon, 7 springs. And indeed, in the vicinity of Tabga is a group of springs varying in volume, temperature, and salinity. Josephus Flavius referred to the largest as the Well of Capernaum, thus pointing to the connection between Heptapegon and Capernaum. The springs of Heptapegon have great economic importance. In the winter, the warm water draws schools of warmth-loving mush to the vicinity. The Capernaum fishermen stayed in this area during winter and early spring, making Heptapegon an important commercial suburb of Capernaum. A small harbor which served the fishermen was discovered in 1975. When Jesus began his ministry, he left his native Nazareth and came down to the lake. Capernaum became his own city, and he lived with the family of Peter the fisherman. It was probably winter, and the members of the family were all working in Heptapegon. Here on the shore Jesus began to preach, and here also found his first followers among the fishermen. Most of the events in the Gospels connected with fishing, therefore, took place in Heptapegon. According to Christian tradition, this is also the place where Jesus met with his disciples after the resurrection. This audio JP recording was brought to you in part by
Zavdi and Sons of Bethsaida, Nets and Fishing Tackle. Specializing in trammel nets, drag nets, and cast nets, Zavdi and Sons offers a full array of tackle and nautical gear for fishermen on the Lake of Gennesaret. Stone weights for nets, fishing hooks, basalt anchors, and netting needles are all available on our waterfront location in the village of Beit Zaidan. Zavdi and Sons also offers ropes, sails, replacement oars, and sealant for your boat so that you'll stay afloat if your crew is caught in a sudden storm. Whether you're hauling in mushed or schools of sardines or angling for bini, you won't catch a bad fish with Zavdi and Sons all-weather fishing gear.
To purchase a Zavdi and Sons mug, sticker, magnet, t-shirt, etc., visit the Jerusalem Perspective Dashery store at this address, www.jerusalemperspective.dashery.com. To learn more about Zavdi and Sons and Jerusalem Perspective's other first-century sponsors, visit www.jerusalemperspective.com/first-century-sponsors. And thank you for your support.